It's a match for the ages, the largest shark to ever live versus the largest crocodile to ever stalk the earth. Who would win in a matchup that's all teeth and bite between two of prehistory's most terrifying predators? In the blue corner we have Megalodon, which may have been the largest fish to ever live. Rolling onto the scene 20 million years ago, Megalodon instantly became the ocean's apex predator, with the only thing that could threaten Megalodon being another, bigger Megalodon. However, once these massive animals reached adulthood, they were in effect predator-proof, and only old age and disease could take down these massive monsters. But how big was the largest predatory fish known in prehistory? We don't have any Megalodon bones to study because, like modern sharks, its bones were mostly made up of cartilage, which breaks down quickly without giving remains the chance to fossilize. However, we can estimate the size of a Megalodon with a great deal of reliability by simply examining the teeth. About the only thing this terrifying predator left behind. Made out of calcium, Megalodon teeth easily survived to the modern age, and by using the same estimates between tooth and body size that we use on modern sharks, we come up with a creature that could reach up to 18 meters in length or almost 60 feet. That's just over half the size of the largest animal believed to have ever existed, the modern blue whale, which can reach 110 feet and would have absolutely been a meal for Megalodon if it were still around. Megalodon teeth can reach up to 18 centimeters or 7 inches, absolutely dwarfing modern-day great white shark teeth. With a mouthful of 276 teeth, Megalodon would make short work of anything it sunk its teeth into, and that included equally large prey. Megalodon regularly hunted whales, large fish, and even other sharks, as well as prehistoric aquatic mammals like the ancestors of seals and dolphins. An ambush predator like the modern great white shark, Megalodon would have cruised deep below any potential prey. Then Megalodon would propel itself with its powerful tail, striking at prey from below. With large whales, it's believed Megalodon would have targeted the flippers, ripping them off with 1 or 2 bites, and leaving the animal helpless as Megalodon took its time eating, at its leisure. But how strong was Megalodon's bite? Because if it's going to take on the largest crocodile to ever exist, it's going to have a tough plate armor to chew through. Humans have a bite force of about 1,317 newtons, which is enough to chomp down on the occasional steak and tear meat free. A great white shark, though, has a bite force of 18,216 newtons, which is more than enough to bite down on the occasional human and tear limbs free. Scaling that up to Megalodon size, though, we get a bite force between 108,000 and 182,201 newtons, which might possibly be the strongest bite force in history. In the Defense Department, Megalodon would have the same tough skin of other modern sharks. Shark skin is actually made up of an outer covering of tough V-shaped scales called dermal denticles. These fit together much like human scale mail armor. These interlocking scales all fall in one direction, greatly reducing drag as the shark swims through the water. However, the interlocking nature of the scales also make a shark very difficult to actually hurt, as any attempt to bite or puncture it will have you trying to punch through multiple layers of scales. That's going to be quite the challenge for this mega croc to try to overcome in a one-on-one match to the death. In the red corner is our challenger, one of the largest land predators to ever live and a nightmare that could have swallowed a man whole with room for dessert. It lived side by side with the most terrifying predators to ever walk the earth and made them its prey. Best described as a walking tank, Demosuchus was the largest crocodile ever discovered to have walked the earth, a beast made for taking on some of the largest prey in history. From the tip of its long tail to its snout, Demosuchus measured over 10.6 meters long, and if it walked by you, it would have easily reached the top of your chest as it ambled on by 4 powerful legs. Even more than Megalodon would have resembled modern sharks, Demosuchus was practically a spitting image of a modern large saltwater crocodile, with the exception of a more alligator-like broad snout with a bulbous tip. Inside that massive snout lurked over 80 teeth, each several inches long. Those teeth might not have been as immediately impressive as Megalodon's, but unlike Megalodon, Demosuchus' teeth came in 2 roles. The first was for gripping and tearing flesh from prey, and this was accomplished with large, pointed, and sharp teeth. The second role, though, was for crushing limbs and bones, and this was accomplished by the rear teeth, which were shorter, rounder, and blunt. Like most modern sharks, chewing was very difficult for Megalodon, but Demosuchus was designed to chew every bite it ate, leaving behind little for scavengers to feast on. Modern saltwater crocs have the strongest bite force of any living animal, with a maximum bite force of 16,414 newtons. Scaling that up to Demosuchus' size, we have a bite force that is estimated to range between 18,000 newtons and 102,803 newtons, putting it in contention with Megalodon, even if coming up a bit short. Demosuchus is believed to have hunted much like modern crocodiles and alligators, by ambushing prey at the water's edge. Given its extreme size, though, it's extremely likely that this Crocosaurus would have hunted dinosaurs that came by for a drink. Possible tooth marks on the tail vertebrae of several hadrosauric remains hint at the credibility of this hypothesis. And if Demosuchus didn't prey on dinosaurs then, as had been proposed, why would it have been so gigantic? It's believed Demosuchus waited by the water's edge, submerged except for its eyes and nostrils, waiting for a thirsty dinosaur to draw near. Once suitable prey came to the water, Demosuchus would use its powerful tail much like a modern crocodile and launch itself at its prey, clamping down on it and then using its powerful body to drag the prey back toward the water. Once in the water, the giant croc would simply hold its prey under until it drowned, and then perform the dreaded death roll to rip chunks of flesh off the body to consume. In the defense department, Demosuchus would have been covered by the same thick scaly hide of its modern cousins, which would have likely had a very similar body makeup as its modern-day ancestors, which would include bony plates over the upper parts of its back, head, and tail, located under the tough scaly hide. While there's a misconception that modern crocodiles have bulletproof hides, the idea is not without merit, as the tough scaly hide of a large crocodile can in fact be extremely resistant to small caliber weapons. Scale that up to the size of Demosuchus and you have a walking land tank that would have been incredibly difficult to injure. So, which wins in a battle to the death? First, it's important to note that these two predators would never have likely met in a real-life confrontation outside of our infographics arena. Not only are they separated by tens of millions of years of time, but they both existed in completely different environments. Demosuchus would have hunted swamps and rivers of the inland, while Megalodon would have been best suited for deeper or moderately deep waters, where the massive shark could successfully ambush unwary prey. Modern encounters between sharks and crocodiles aren't unheard of, like in this video here, and there's even been suspected of shark-on-crocodile violence, but the massive size of a Megalodon would have prevented it from accessing the shallow coastal oceans crocodiles sometimes pass through. Let's compare weapons though. The Megalodon had over 250 razor-sharp teeth, each the size of a human hand. These were designed for ripping and tearing flesh, which would have posed a problem going up against Demosuchus. The massive crocodile would have been well armored, with many of its most vital areas, such as the internal organs, protected by bony plates underneath a hide tough enough to stop rifle rounds. Much like medieval scale mail was very resilient versus stabs and puncture wounds, Demosuchus' tough hide would have been a large enough obstacle for Megalodon to score a devastating wound through. But Megalodon was no ordinary shark, and potentially had a bite force of well over 100,000 newtons. Plus, the big shark had a big weight advantage, weighing in as much as 59.4 metric tons. Compare that to Demosuchus, which only weighed in at a maximum of 5 tons, and you've got a very clear advantage. Combine Megalodon's biting power with its massive size advantage, and Demosuchus' tough hide would have eventually given away to Megalodon's attacks. Demosuchus, meanwhile, had teeth designed for dual purposes. The front teeth worked to grip and rip at prey, while the back teeth would crush whatever ended up in its mouth. Megalodon's own skin might have been protected by large, tough denticles, but Demosuchus' bite force would have easily penetrated to deliver some serious wounds. With biting being both predators' primary way of killing prey, we'd have to give the advantage to Megalodon, whose teeth may not be optimally designed for getting through Demosuchus' thick armored plated body, but whose overwhelming size would have given it a power edge that Demosuchus simply couldn't match. We can gather clues as to who would truly win though by examining the way each animal would have hunted. Much like modern crocodiles, Demosuchus would have waited at the water's edge, carefully submerged until an unwary prey item came to get a drink. Once a Demosuchus had a grip on its prey, it would have initiated the famous death roll. Megalodon would have likely ambushed its prey from below, much like many sharks do today. Its hide was much like a great white's, being darkly colored on the top and light on the bottom. This would allow a Megalodon to cruise at depth, where it would blend in with the darkness, giving unwary prey above it no chance of spotting it until it's too late. As an ambush predator, Megalodon likely struck from the depths, rocketing up like a torpedo to deliver a crippling bite similar to modern sharks.
Right in front of him.
Yes, yes, yes!
Oh my goodness.
He's got it.
He's got it.
Oh.
Our two animals have to fight in an arena that can actually hold them both, which means deep water which can accommodate Megalodon's massive size, and this put Demosuchus at a major disadvantage, as his hunting style is mostly to sit and wait to ambush prey that wanders too near. With deep water, Megalodon once again has all the advantages, allowing it to dart in for a lightning strike on Demosuchus. However, Demosuchus' tough hide would have been difficult for Megalodon to get through and deliver some truly fatal bites. If Demosuchus managed to swing its big jaws around and catch a isometric grip of Megalodon, you could expect it to immediately launch into a death roll, ripping and tearing large chunks of flesh out of Megalodon and causing lots of bleeding. However, once more, Megalodon's size advantage is its best asset, as the sheer body mass of Megalodon makes it very unlikely that Demosuchus could rip enough flesh free to actually cause serious bodily damage and bleeding. Given that Demosuchus likely drowned its prey, the animal isn't actually well suited for a protracted engagement of teeth and bites. While Megalodon can use the deep water, the two must fight in to its advantage to carry out a series of lightning strikes. In the end, we think the answer is clear. Megalodon would have indeed triumphed in a one-on-one match against Demosuchus. The very basic physical requirements of the battle arena means that Demosuchus is denied every advantage, and the massive size of the biggest shark ever to live makes it an unstoppable killing machine that even the largest crocodile in prehistory can't stop. Now, go check out the crocodile versus great white shark. Who would actually win? Or click this other video instead.